done that. So
okay, so you're saying that a Muslim is not allowed to have relations with a slave woman?
What I'm saying, let's be very clear. You said legalization of rape. Yes?
But that's what that is.
No,
by
no,
British
I
law.
said that
by
that
British
can.
law, that's law.
No,
You
no.
can't. Can a Muslim, can a husband, can a wife refuse her husband?
Yes.
That's not what the Quran.
No, hold on. If she refuses her husband, the man can't force her. And the same thing. Well, hold on. Let me explain. Can I explain?
Yeah.
The Quran doesn't mention this. The word ikhtisab is not in the Quran.
It talks about you going plough a field or something from memory.
Yeah, nisa'ukum harthun lakum fa'tu harthakum anna shi'tum. Your women are a tilth for you, so plough your tilth whenever you want.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you can force them.
So does a woman need a consent?
Yes. Can I give you?
Can you show me?
Yes. Yes. So you said, and by the way, not only just at the time where there was indentured servants, they need to consent as well. Based on what hadith?
Indentured servants or slaves?
You can call them slaves if you want. I don't mind.
I mean, no. What's this? Just for the
But by the way,
myself, can you make
well, actually, an indentured servant, from an academic perspective, is a type of slave. But it's a type of slave which is not, child slavery or something like that. But going back,
No.
Yep.
How does a slave that's captured in a time of war relate to what you just described?
Yeah, so that's exactly
Can
what
the
we're talking
slave who was captured in a time of war go free?
about. Yes.
No, they can't.
Okay, now you've asked me a question, then you've answered it for me.
Okay, so I don't believe that's true.
Okay, can I? Well, no, you've asked two questions, and I'm giving you the answer you don't want to hear. All right, so the first question you asked was, can a woman decide not to have sex with her husband? Yes, she'd be sinful for it, just like the husband.
Okay, so she'd be sinful.
Yeah, no, hold on. Can I? Allow me. The husband and the wife, when they get a nikah, which is the contract of marriage, which many scholars say is a business contract. That's what it is in essence. Like Ibn Qudamah says that a lot of Hanafi say that. If the husband refuses the wife for no good reason, or the wife refuses the husband, it's exactly the same way either way, because if there's no good reason, there's no marad, there's no disease or anything like that, the whole point of marriage is that you're meant to facilitate, it's meant to be facilitative, it's meant to make things easy for each other. Now, the reason why, by the way, sorry, Joseph, look, put it away if you don't mind for a second. Let's have a one-to-one discussion. It's not about just attacking Islam and this. Let's have a discussion. Like, honestly, if you really want to learn and this and that, we can do it.
No, I just need sources to respond because I'm not Muslim.
I will definitely. No, I'm not an expert, but I'm quoting the experts.
And the issue with last time was I believe Adnan didn't know his sources, so
No
I just
problem.
want to make sure.
No. I will tell you exactly what. Can you look at me, please? Sorry. I try and pay you the courtesy of looking at you. So, look. What I was going to say is that the question of rape is absolutely unacceptable in Islam. What's the evidence from that? The evidence for that is what Ash-Shafi'i wrote from the Quran and Sunnah. La darar wa la dirar. Hadith. You can't cause harm to yourself or reciprocate harm. You can't cause harm to other people. And so, based on this hadith, all of the scholars of Islam would say, because if you have sex with a woman, sorry to be very explicit here, but without her consent, without her wanting to do it, it's going to cause her harm. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Yes. No. And Ash-Shafi'i would agree, Malik would agree, and in fact it's mentioned in their books, where both of those men, in the case of Malik it's been narrated upon him, but in the case of Ash-Shafi'i in his Kitab al-Umm, the source, his Kitab is called Kitab al-Umm, where he says with an indentured servant, if she refuses you, in other words, she does not give her a consent, and you force yourself upon her, then you are actually you have a punitive punishment administered upon you. Now, the second question you asked was, can an indentured servant be freed if they want to? And the answer to that is categorically yes. And what's the evidence for that? It's in chapter 24, verse 33, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about mukataba. Now, what is mukataba? According to Al-Qurtubi, who is the Mufassir of the Quran in Spain, and one of the most authoritative in the Islamic history, he said that a mukataba, and he quoted some salaf, he quoted some sahabis. He said that, like Ibn Mas'ud and others, if someone who's living in the house of an individual wants to be freed and says, look, I don't want to be with you and I don't want to be in this setup anymore, and they go to Al-Qadi, which is a judge, and then they tell the judge, I don't want to be in this house anymore, and if they don't have a criminal record, in alima fihim khayra.
And this is non-Muslims?
Non-Muslims as well. Yes, non-Muslims as well.
Okay, so just because can you explain that?
Yeah.
So
can I explain?
Me that just very quickly, you're telling me that at a time
No, but you didn't let me finish that last sentence. Sorry, I apologize. So in that case, If they go to the Qadi, Al-Qurtubi says, they can forcibly be freed. So in other words, if that person is not happy in that situation, they will forcibly be freed. In other words, why is it now, the question is, why would someone want to be in that situation? The reason is, because remember, this is an ancient time, you didn't have social housing, you didn't have, accommodations and so on. Some people literally felt like that was only going to be their only way that they can reintegrate into a society to get provisions, to be protected by the military men that were living in their
and there's a conflict. The Muslims slaughter all of the males, from my tribe. All of the men are killed. And you're telling me that not only would the Jewish children and women that survived the massacre want to be slaves, they would also want sexual relations with their Muslim masters. Now, if anyone
I didn't say that.
I'm making it real, because when you
That's
build
not making it real. That's just a straw man.
When you paint this ideal scenario, it was more primitive back then. Life was difficult. Life was good as a slave. What we need to do that is contextualize that to reality.
I didn't say life was good. But can you quote me right? Because you were just upset with me for deleting your comment.
Okay,
well, now you're doing something more egregious than that.
What did you say then?
I never said life was good as a slave. I never made that comment.
Better than...
No, I never made these comments.
And then I misunderstood your
argument. Okay, no, just put it on notes what I say so that you don't misquote me, please.
Okay, so what did you say?
What I said was, my main argument was that in the Islamic tradition, there is this opinion which is attributed not only to a Qurtubi, but it goes back to the Sahaba.
Why would a slave want to remain a slave? That's the question.
What I'm saying is, in that time, where there was a... Oh, assalamu alaikum. How are you, brother? You okay? Very good. See me. Sorry. So, one sentence at a time. That it's in the records. They can free themselves forcibly. Number one. Number two, what I said was that some did not opt to do that directly because they feared the military. Like, for example, now you have to remember that there were wars going on. They free themselves. They have to get their own accommodation. They have to get their own housing. They have to pay their own bills, and they're going to be in their own danger. Now, if you're in a house, seriously, if you're in a house and this person is protecting you, seriously, they're military. They've got swords. And remember, it's a bit like America. Everyone's got swords.
Okay.
These guys don't have swords.
I thought that's basically what
you get
I said.
it?
Well, it's fine. Now that you've corrected me,
it's not about better.
Point?
It's just about fear of, okay.
What I was trying to do is contextualize it so people that are watching can
that's
understand.
That's the context.
So in Syria, there is a conflict, at the moment. Now, there were people that were taking slaves,
Yes, and unjustly.
And there's unjustly, absolutely.
Yes.
We're both in agreement. ISIS, Daesh are horrible.
Yes.
Now, the same scenario exists, and what you're basically arguing is that the slaves who were living under ISIS or under anyone would be so afraid of wider conflict that they'd rather remain slaves.
It could be like that.
Even if that were the case, it doesn't make it morally right.
Okay.
It's actually quite a scary concept. So I'm going to read...
Well, it depends on the context. Morally right, it's in the Bible. Hold on. Joseph, hold on.
No, I let you speak. Okay. Please give me the same courtesy.
So can you address the fact that it's in the Bible as well?
Mohammed, I let you speak, please.
You're a Jew at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll give... And tell me... Hold on, Joseph, sir.
Can I please, Mohammed, I let you speak for a long time.
Can I have one more thing?
No. I let you speak. Let me respond. I listened to what you said. So I'm going to read from the Hadith.
Yes, okay.
Narrated Abdullah bin Zama.
What book is it?
Sahih Bukhari.
Okay.
That he heard the Prophet delivering a sermon, and he mentioned the she-camel and the one who hamstrung it. Allah's apostle recited, when the most wicked man among them went forth.
Surah Shams, chapter 91.
You know your stuff. Then he said, a tough man whose equal was rare and who enjoyed the protection of his people, like Abi Zama, went forth to him and hamstrung it. The Prophet then mentioned about the women in his sermon it is not wise for any of you to lash his wife like he lash a slave, for he might sleep with her in the evening. Then he advised them not to laugh when somebody breaks wind, and it goes on to something else. But there's an example of saying where a slave master can lash a slave. I'm going to bring a few more.
No, just one at a time because it's going to be convoluted otherwise. So the reason why that is there, number one, you're not allowed to lash your slave. Okay, what is it talking about? Can I explain? Number two, the Quran says that slaves, in terms, because in Islam you have punitive laws like lashing, yeah? Slaves get half of the amount that a normal believer gets. It's in Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4 of the Quran. Number three, what we're talking about, so for example, where an offense would be punishable by death if it was a non-Muslim, it was a Muslim, but in a case where the Muslim is free, with the slave, they wouldn't have the death penalty impinged upon them.
That doesn't reconcile with what
No, hold on, let me explain. However, the administrator of the punishment, in some cases, can be the owner themselves. Does that make sense?
No, it says it is not wise for any of you to lash his wife like he lashes his slave.
Okay, no, hold on.
Like he lashes him.
No, am I agreeing with you or disagreeing? I'm saying that I agree that in some jurisprudential schools of thought, some scholars say that you can administer the punishment yourself. So, for example, if you saw the indentured servant having sex with another indentured servant, or let's go even further. Sorry. Let's go even further. Excuse me. Hold on. No, but that's why you have to do something called Jama' Adilla. You have to look at all the dalils. Look, this is a decontextualized approach to Islamic jurisprudence. You're bringing me singular hadiths.
Okay, I'll bring more.
No, I understand. But you're not willing to reconcile. Joseph, please. Joseph, in the book of Numbers 31:18, it says you can take the slaves that have not known any men and have sex with them and rape them. You're talking to me about rape in the Quran and the Sunnah. Can you explain this verse?
So I will say...
I've already explained my side. Now it's your turn.
No, absolutely. I'm going to just finish on my point.
Then explain.
No, explain.
Yes, okay, good.
Absolutely. So narrated...
Because it seems a bit of too much like hypocrisy.
I can understand why you'd run away from the question.
No, I didn't run away from it.
Zama, the Prophet said, none of you should flog him. This is Sahih Bukhari again.
Yes, I've already explained.
None of you should flog his wife as he flogs a slave, then have sexual intercourse with her in the last part of the day. In the first part is fine, but the last part...
No, come on. It says don't have sex, don't whip the slave and then have sex with them. Don't do this. What's the problem?
It's saying in the last part of the day.
So does that mean mafhum mukhalafa is that
in the morning, it's fine.
No. That's not the mafhum mukhalafa. It doesn't work like that. Nice try. Listen, the point is now, what I'm saying to you is, I've already explained to you how this works in the grander context of things. What we're saying is, sometimes the owner, or whatever you want, the one who's in charge, the master, whatever it is, that person, when they have the indentured servant...
Can we just call them a slave? It's someone you capture in
I can call them whatever I want to call them.
Okay, fine.
An indentured servant is actually one of the category, in academics, is one of the ways of, it's a category of slave anyway. What I'm saying is, and by the way, I don't know why I'm smiling, because you're going to run away from Numbers 31:18, which I've already explained look how many things I've explained, at least 4 hadiths and 4 ayahs. Here I'm saying to you, yes, there are some situations in which that would be possible. However, that is only in a situation where there has been already a trial and a court and so on. And I've explained that to you. Now explain this to me. In Numbers 31:18, in your book, which you believe is the Torah and the God's word, it says that Moses is commanding the people to take the slaves, not only take them, but the ones who have not known any man, the young girls, have sex with them forcibly, and then also here...
Where does it say?
It says you can have sex. Read the verse. And by the way, chapter 31, verse 18 of the book of Numbers in your Torah, where it says you take them as slaves. Not only that, but have sex with them, the ones who have never known a man. Now, some scholars have interpreted that to mean in a forcible way. Now, you could argue it's not, and I'll agree. For example, the Palestinian Encyclopedia.
That's not a scholar.
What do you mean? The encyclopedia was written by a layman? I don't think so.
No. I mean, rabbinic sources. When we speak Islam, I don't go to secular. I go to
I'll send you some primary sources if you want.
Okay, please.
No problem. But what I'm saying here is, the point is, you're shooting yourself in the foot by asking me about things that not only are present in your book, but are present to an extent whereby there's no restriction. Islam came to restrict this kind of thing that was there in the Jewish tradition, where you can go in the Malachites and take the woman and destroy everyone in the village. There's no such. And I want you to explain 31:18, and I want you to tell and look at also Deuteronomy chapter 21 verse 10 onwards, and I want you to also explain to me and the Malachites and 1 Samuel's how all the village can be annihilated, villages can be annihilated, killed, everyone, and apostasy in the by the way in the Torah, in the book of Deuteronomy. In chapter 17 of Deuteronomy, hold on. Let me finish. Okay, fine. Now, apostasy, you kill the person yourself in the home. Kill the person yourself in the home. Now, in Islam, there's no such thing. If it's your brother, if it's your young thing, you kill them yourself in the home. So all of these things, Islam came to limit it, to reform it, to clean it up, to allow it to solve your issues. So now, I wouldn't even say that they're wrong morally, because I have no reason to say that they're wrong morally. If God said it, it's correct, but God didn't say it, I believe, in the way that it's mentioned in the Torah, in the so-called Torah.
I think you've touched on the fundamental difference between Judaism and Islam. So Islam is a literalist religion. Whatever the Quran and the Hadith say, as long as it's authentic.
Well, there are literalists in Islam.
No.
Not everyone is a literalist. I'm not a literalist.
Mohammed, you asked the question, let me respond.
But you said it's a literalist religion. I'm not a literalist.
No, let me respond.
I'm not a Zahiri.
Listen, what I'm saying is, Muslims believe that the Quran is the perfect word of God. By the way, is Ramadan come in tonight?
Yeah.
Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you.
The Quran is the perfect word of God.
Okay.
And the Hadith.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a little distracting. The Quran is the perfect word from God. The Hadith is the perfect part of the perfect instruction for Muslims to follow, yeah?
Yep.
Judaism differs slightly. Judaism is, and the Quran itself actually says this, Judaism is much a religion on earth as it is in heaven.
Where does it say that, Quran?
So what did that let me explain?
No, the Quran doesn't say that. Don't misquote the Quran.
No, I didn't say, I said the Torah.
The Quran, you said the Quran.
You said in the Quran it said that.
Sorry, my mistake, I'm sorry.
Okay, right.
I'm saying in the Torah, we believe, the Quran, sorry, the Quran says that the Jews worship their rabbis or something to that effect. What does it say when it speaks about the rabbis?
رهبانهم وأربابهم what do you call it? أحبارهم أربابا من دون الله والمسيح ابن مريم. They take chapter 9, yes, verse 30, which says that they take the rabbis and monks as lords beside God and so on.
So effectively what Judaism is very much a religion on this world. So we have something called the Sanhedrin, which is a rabbinic court.
Yes.
And they have the authority to define and interpret what the Torah says, and then it's binding for all of the Jewish people.
But you accept that there's some...
To come back to your point.
Yes.
So do I believe that rape in the Torah, the Quran, anything is wrong? Yes. Does the Torah say the verses that you said? It doesn't say it in the way you said, but yes, it does say that you can capture the women. It doesn't say you can force yourself on them.
No problem, so you can take the young girls.
But it absolutely does say slavery, like in the Quran, is legal in the Torah. Surrounded from both sides by...
Sorry. Yeah.
The Quran and the Torah both say that slavery is fine. Yeah? The distinction between the two is, if the Quran says something, Muslims can't really change that. That's set in stone.
Yes.
Within Judaism, while we can't change the wording, we can change the application via the mechanism.
Yeah, same with Islam.
And so there isn't a Jew today, or in the last, I would argue, 2,000, or certainly 1,000 years, certainly I say disability probably, in the last 300 years, that's been pro-slavery. Slavery is very much frowned upon within Jewish circles for a long time. In your education,
you're equivocating between what Jewish circles are doing. Let me ask you a direct question. Okay. Hold on, sorry. Let me ask you a direct question. Numbers, chapter 31, verse 18.
Yeah.
Is it God's word?
Yeah.
Is it moral?
So
yes or no?
No. I'm trying to answer in my own words. For me, it's not a yes/no question. So I would say, by the standards of the day, back then it was. By today's standards, definitely not.
So okay. So God, hold on. This is very important. Yeah. Yes. So you're saying by today's standards.
Yeah.
Now, where do we derive morality? From the standards of the day or from God's word?
So for the Jewish people,
yes,
it's a fusion of the two.
Okay, no problem. But this slavery that you're talking about Was God right or wrong to allow it to happen in your books?
So I don't believe it exists in the way that you describe it.
No problem, but it's mentioned.
You
You already conceded to the point that slavery exists in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
So, in your vision, is there any conceivability where there's a time and a place where slavery can be okay, morally okay?
I would say it's always morally not okay.
Okay, so God was wrong in Deuteronomy and Numbers.
You're reading a book which relates to a time where slavery was everywhere.
No problem. Hold on, this is good. I'm no problem, yes.
And so from your position, and I understand your
Forget
position.
about my position.
No,
we're talking.
you're talking mine and I'm talking yours. That's what we both do.
Yeah, no
you're
problem.
saying by your definition, because God says that slavery is morally okay, for you sometimes slavery is okay, but another times it's not.
I'm saying for me, sorry,
it's
Joseph,
never okay.
I did you the courtesy of answering your questions, and I'm happy to do that courtesy again. But I just want you to do something for me now, which is answer my questions. No. So you're saying it's immoral. Okay, now, is it always immoral in every time and every place?
To take possession over someone.
Yes.
For me, yes.
Yeah. So the Bible is wrong.
It's not that the Bible is wrong. The Bible is, in a way, a historical document.
No problem. Numbers 31:18 is wrong.
So again, Moses is a leader and Moses is a Nabi are two separate things. Now I don't know what's divine revelation. Like, is God saying that you need to take the let me read the verse so I can
Yes.
I don't want to miss.
Because now what's happening, and everyone can see it, and be honest with you, Joseph, you're fumbling all over the place.
No, but I can. It's the difference.
You really are.
I will get here on the microphone, irrespective of what. No, listen,
you're not consistent, Joseph.
Irrespective of what any of the scripture says,
yes.
and I would say that slavery is immoral all time.
So then
you,
say
you won't.
No, hold on. No
you
problem.
won't.
Listen, Joseph, I don't care what I'm asking now. A question is. You can't have your cake and eat it both, Joseph. Either the Bible is wrong or the morality is wrong. Or the morality is right and the Bible is wrong. Simple. Would you agree? Would you agree with that? Slavery is wrong. Okay, no problem. Now, if you believe slavery is always wrong, at every time, even if it means you're trying to reform the thing, at every time it's wrong, you have to look at 31:18. If it's categorically wrong, listen to my words, not consequentially wrong, it's categorically wrong.
And actually,
if it's categorically wrong, is slavery categorically wrong? Is slavery? Yes.
Wrong, yeah.
Categorically wrong.
Yes.
Okay. So Deuteronomy 21:10 and Numbers 31:18.
It's not just that.
Is wrong.
Throughout the Torah, it mentions in different places that you can keep slaves.
Fine. That's wrong.
And I'm saying that's wrong. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. That's consistent.
Now for you.
No. For me, I don't say it's categorically wrong at all. I say it's.
So you think the slavery?
Let me explain. I say it's consequentially wrong.
Okay, explain what you mean.
Well, this is very important now. Because consequentially, yes. As a result of consequences, I believe in certain contexts, that if a slave is taken out of one severe station into another better station, or if slavery as an institution, I'm telling you what I believe, I don't care what.